Good morning. I am Dr. Sumita Das, professor in the Department of Food Technology, Haldia Institute of Technology. Today I am going to deliver a lecture on HTST pasteurization system for market milk processing. Okay. So already you had learned that pasteurization is an integral part of fluid milk processing, and already you know that why pasteurization is done, what are the different time temperature combinations used for pasteurization, and why these type temperature pasteurization for time temperature selected, these things are done. Okay, so today actually I will discuss regarding HTST pasteurization system. So HTST pasteurization, that is basically high temperature short time pasteurization system. So here you all know that it is basically done using plate heat exchanger. Okay, so the first plate heat exchanger for HTST pasteurization of milk was developed by APV company of United Kingdom in the year 1922. Now it can handle a large volume of milk in a continuous evaporation. This is the main advantage of this system. The HTST pasteurization system basically involves heating of milk to a minimum of 72 degrees centigrade temperature and holding time of 15 to 20 seconds before cooling the product to 5 degrees centigrade or below. Okay. Next, I will discuss regarding the flow pattern of milk through the HTST system. Now, this flow pattern I am discussing as the milk passes through different section of the HTST pasteurization unit. First, the milk from storage tank enters into a balance tank, then it moves to pump, then regenerative heating section, then filter, then final heating section, then holding section, and after this it moves to flow diversion valve, regenerative cooling section, and final cooling or chilling section. So this is a representation or flow pattern of milk as it passed through HTST pasteurization system. Now first I will discuss regarding the flow control balance tank. What is it and what is its function? Now generally after receiving of milk, milk is usually stored in storage tank or silo. So when processing operation or pasteurization operation starts, it first enters into a tank known as balance tank. Now this balance tank is also known as float controlled balance tank because it has a special type of valve known as float assembly. The purpose of this float assembly is that it maintains a constant head of milk to the pump for feeding to the pasteurizer. So this is the most important thing, that pump will feed the milk to pasteurizer. So therefore there should be a tank which constantly maintain a head of milk. And another function of it is that it receives any sub temperature or under pasteurized milk which is diverted by flow diversion valve. So this is the balance tank. Now you can find here a schematic representation of this balance tank. So this is in this tank the float assembly is present, and from different direction milk enters and the outlet is present also. Next is pump. So after balance tank, a pump is present which constantly feed milk to the regenerative heating section of the pasteurization system. Now either a rotary positive displacement pump or a centrifugal pump can be used for this purpose. And along with this pump, a flow controller is also attached which ensures constant output of the milk. Next section, which is very important section in HTST pasteurization process, that is called as regeneration section. So before discussing about regeneration section, first I will tell you what is regeneration and how it can be implemented in a process design. So regeneration is an engineering principle used in equipment design and operation, which is important for the economy of the dairy industry. Now here I will tell the basics of a milk pasteurization system. Now already I had told that milk is stored in the storage tank or silo which is at 5 degree centigrade temperature. Now that same milk will be heated to 72 degree centigrade for pasteurization process, and after 72 degree it will be again cooled to 5 degree centigrade. So the milk is first heated to a certain degree, then it is cooled again to 5 degree centigrade or below. So if the total thing is done, heating is done by hot water or steam and chilling is done by chilled water, then more cost involvement or will be there. So if in the equipment design we can make some changes so that the heat of pasteurized milk can be recovered to heat the raw milk. So then the raw milk will be heated to the final temperature with less amount of hot water, and by doing so the pasteurized milk will be also cooled to some degree. So by doing such type of design in the HTST system, obviously the process economy will be improved. Okay, so as milk enters into the HTST system, it first enters into the regenerative heating section. Now it improves the economy of the process. Already I had mentioned, as incoming raw milk requires less heating by hot water to raise the temperature of for holding period. Okay, so because raw milk is already heated to some degree by the pasteurized milk, so here less amount of heat will be required. Next, after regenerative heating section, the milk which is initially at 5 degree centigrade can be heated up to about 50 to 55 degree centigrade, right? So as it enters this temperature, so next it enters into a filter. Now why filter is present here? Though initially filtration is done, still if some dirt or dust particle are present, so different shaped filter are attached here in this system directly, so that further filtration can be done and milk should be free from any dust and dirt particle. So after this, it directly enters into the heating and holding section. Together I am discussing this heat. So heating basically means where using the plate heat exchanger and hot water, the milk is reached to its final temperature, which is around 72 degrees centigrade. That is the heating section. And holding section basically means the milk which is now at 72 degrees centigrade is held at this temperature for the minimum time, that is 15 to 20 seconds. So that is the holding section, and this is done using a tube. Basically holding section is a tube section. So if the tube of this section is designed in such a way, and also the milk flow is controlled in such a way that when the milk will enter into this tube and it will exit from this tube, the 15-second time will be completed. So using this system, so 72 degree centigrade temperature is reached, as well as 15-second time holding is also attained. So as a result, the milk is being properly pasteurized. So next is the flow diversion valve. So after holding section, a valve exists which is known as flow diversion valve. It is one of the important attachment in this system, because this system actually directs the route of the milk, whether milk is properly pasteurized or not. Actually, if the milk is properly pasteurized, then the valve allows it to move forward for regeneration cooling section. But if the milk is not properly pasteurized, then the milk flow, this valve actually send the milk to the flow to the balance tank again for its reprocessing or further processing. Now you have to know the working principle of this flow diversion valve. Now you can find this is a schematic representation of flow diversion valve. Now this flow diversion valve actually works on air pressure. So air pressure means if milk is sufficiently heat or properly pasteurized, then air pressure will build up. So when air pressure will build up, the valve will sit in its position and it allows the milk for forward movement. Okay, but if the milk is not properly pasteurized, then what will happen? The valve will block the forward flow direction, and a diverted flow line will open up, through which milk is diverted to the balance tank for its reprocessing. So in this way, this valve actually allows the route of milk after pasteurization, and it also ensures that milk is being properly pasteurized. Okay, so after that comes the regeneration cooling section. So the same part is acting as regeneration heating and regeneration cooling section. So when the raw milk is being heated, it is termed as regeneration heating, and when pasteurized milk is being cooled, it is known as regenerative cooling section. Now about 94 to 95% of the heat of pasteurized milk may be recovered or recycled in this way, and the milk is after this section, so heating, holding, everything is covered, then the milk is generally cooled to below 5 degrees centigrade by passing chilled water, and chilled milk may be stored in pasteurized milk storage tank, or it can be directly sent to the packaging section for packaging. So anything can be done. Okay, so this is a schematic representation of HTST pasteurization system. Whatever I had discussed, the flow pattern of milk, you can find here how the milk flows through different sections of the HTST pasteurization system. So starting from the balance tank, it enters into pump, then regeneration section, then filter, then heating section, holding tube, then again regeneration section, then final chilling section, and finally it removes from the HTST system and goes to the bottling or packaging unit. Okay, so again I am giving a picture of HTST pasteurization unit where it is established or installed in the industry. Okay, now here one thing I want to discuss again, so that is basically the regarding heat exchanger. Now this plate heat exchanger is basically a simple, compact and easily cleanable unit. Here a large number of plates are attached together in a frame. Okay, and in different sections the barriers are there like blocks, so that one section is separated from another section. So in this way a large number of plates can be attached in a frame, and by increasing the number of plates, the efficiency or capacity of the exchanger can be increased. Okay, next the important thing is the plates. The plates are actually made up of stainless steel, and in these plates there are, you can find some raised sections or corrugations are there. Okay, so due to presence of these corrugations or raised sections, milk can flow easily through these plates without directly falling through the plate. Sufficient time will be provided there, and as it will be there, and you can also find here pores are open, both or opens are present both on the top portion as well as in the down portion of the plates. Through these pores or openings or veins, milk and heating or cooling media can pass without mixing. And you can find the boundary of these pores are also mentioned by a rubber gasket. These gaskets are basically non-absorbent rubber gasket, and it also provides a gap of 0.3 millimeter, so that the milk can easily flow through these plates. Okay, so here I am basically trying to show the flow pattern in this system. So by using blue arrow, the chilled liquid is flowing, and through the, as here the red color arrow line is given, so this signifies the hot liquid. So you can find easily that the pores are present in both the top portion and the bottom portion, and here due to presence of these rubber gaskets, basically the milk cannot enter into the next plate. It actually one plate, after one plate it enters into the next plate. Similarly, hot water or cold water from one plate directly to the next plate, it will not enter, it will enter into the next plate. As a result, in both sides of the plate, in one side there is heating media and in another side there is cooling media. As a result, the heat transfer occurs through these plates, and milk can be either heated or it can be chilled. Okay. Next, another important thing you have to know, that is the regeneration efficiency. So here I had mentioned regarding regeneration. So how much heat can be regenerated? So that by temperature difference we can easily calculate using some formula. So regeneration efficiency can be determined by calculating the difference between Tr minus Ti divided by Tm minus Ti. Tr means temperature after regeneration, Ti means inlet milk temperature, and Tm means maximum temperature, that is the pasteurization temperature. Now this formula is applicable if we consider that there is no heat loss to the environment. Here we are thinking that whatever heat of pasteurized milk is recovered, that is transferred to the cooling media. So then only this formula will be correct. Okay, another important thing, that next thing that will be discussed, that regarding phosphatase test. So already you had learned that pasteurization efficiency can be checked by phosphatase test. So what is it? Now you all know that the index enzyme or pasteurization can be measured whether it destroys the phosphatase enzyme or not. So in milk, phosphatase enzyme is present. So the test is based on that. The alkaline phosphatase, if any alkaline phosphatase is present in milk, it will break the substrate para-nitrophenyl phosphate into para-nitrophenol, and this para-nitrophenol gives yellowish color in alkaline pH. So this is the condition of pasteurization test, that is phosphatase test. Now this basically implies that if milk contains the phosphatase enzyme, then it will be appearing after treatment or after experiment, it will give yellowish color, and if it doesn't contain any alkaline phosphatase enzyme, after the experiment it will remain colorless. So from this test we can easily determine whether milk is properly pasteurized or not. So with this I am ending my lecture, and thank you.